Hello and welcome everybody to our mindfulness session for LCCC. As always, my name is Janine Forsyth Lefevre. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And today I have a special treat for you, visual aids. We're talking about mindful self-care for the holidays. So I thought having some visuals here might be helpful for some of you. On the YouTube recording, I'm also going to include a link to this slide deck as a PDF. So you can have it for yourself. If you want to use it for journaling or planning in the future, you'll have that. But first, to start out, as we always do, let's connect to our bodies, to our breath with a brief meditation. So go ahead, close down or soften the eyes. Just begin to notice your breathing. You should be in your tall, comfortable seat, or you can be lying down. You can be sitting in a chair. Find your spine nice and long, though, wherever you are as you tune into your breath. Now begin to check in with your physical body, noticing how you're arriving today for your meditation. Maybe if you can name 2 physical sensations you have right now, that can be helpful, just noticing them, not judging them. You can check in with your mental self and with your feeling self. Where's your head? Where's your heart? If you can name 2 feelings or thoughts that come up for you and notice them without judgment, do that. Maybe you're feeling excited and anxious. Maybe you're distracted by a to-do list or an agenda, a final. Maybe your heart feels a little heavy today for whatever reason. Exactly how you're showing up is perfect. Just notice. Take one more deep breath here, inhaling through the nose, all the way down into the low belly. And then let it all out. Maybe engage the belly at the end of your exhale to push out any stale air. And then return to breathing normally. You can flutter the eyes open if they were closed. Thank you for joining me on that. Quick recap about mindfulness. I thought this might be helpful to refocus us as we think about creating a plan for our own self-care over the coming winter break, over the holidays, or honestly, you could do this exercise anytime you want to make sure you take care of yourself. But mindfulness is an ancient idea with modern research backing. It's found primarily in Buddhist traditions, but also yoga, Hindu traditions, Celtic and Druidic traditions, and others. A lot of our world religions and spiritualities incorporate some form of mindfulness in one way or another. In many traditions, prayer might be a form of mindfulness. A researcher by the name of Jon Kabat-Zinn in 1979 explored Buddhist mindfulness specifically. And he did this through a lens of Western scientific perspective. He defined it as paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, to the unfolding experience moment to moment. So that's a Western scientific way of saying, be here now, right? There's lots and lots of research and data that backs up our mindfulness practice, what we've been doing for the last 6 weeks. This is our last week together. So you have been doing all of this for 6 weeks if you've been attending either our live sessions or watching our recordings. But there's lots and lots of data to back up what many cultures have known for centuries. about 20 years worth now of empirical data that explore a range of practices, a range of populations, employees, healthcare professionals. There are big players in the field of mindfulness research, including UC San Diego School of Medicine Center for Mindfulness, University of Massachusetts Center for Mindfulness, lots of others. There's been lots of programs created based on mindfulness practices, and I've listed a few of those here, but there's MBSR, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, Mindful Self-Compassion, MBCT, which is Mindfulness-Based Cognitive Therapy, yada, yada. There's a lot. But the important thing is you don't need to know all this research. You don't need to be an expert in MBSR or MECL or any of those things for mindfulness to benefit you. Exactly what we've been doing over the last 6 weeks is perfect. And if that's your starting point or your ending point, that's wonderful. Be here now. Okay, so now we're going to get into the fun stuff, mindfulness practices for self-care. And this is actually, those of you who've been attending my other videos will recognize this is me. I was in a hotel room, stranded on a snowy night. My flight was delayed and then canceled. I had to get a taxi to a hotel. It was really cold outside and snowy. I was far away from my family. I was feeling incredibly isolated. A little bit worried about whether or not I was going to get home, if my kids were okay. And I just took a moment and sat in meditation. And I took a picture of it because I wanted to remember this moment. I wanted to remember how it felt to just be present with what was happening and how truly centering it was to sit and breathe and be in my body and be in the moment and not judge, not be worried about the past or the future, just be in that moment, and how much better I felt after a brief meditation practice. All right. So let's talk about some basics. These are just suggestions, of course. You can come up with your own self-care practice. And at the end of our time together, I'm going to give you like a little grid that might help you start to come up with your own practices. But here are some suggestions. For a morning practice, you could do exactly what we've been doing at the beginning of every session. Just a quick 5-minute mindfulness check-in. So beginning with your tall, comfortable seat, or maybe standing tall or lying down, like maybe you're still in bed, coming to your breath, being aware of your breath and doing some mindful breathing, just watching the breath as it flows in and out, noticing if it feels fast or slow, energized, lethargic, sticky, smooth. Just noticing your breathing. And then exactly as we do every time, notice 2 physical feelings, notice 2 thoughts or emotions. And then you could also choose to set an intention for the day. And then if you want to go one more step, write that intention down. Maybe your intention is simply to be present. Maybe your intention is to show 2 random acts of kindness. Maybe your intention is to spend quality time with loved ones or a pet. Maybe it's to be creative, to do some artwork or play some music, to write in your journal. Maybe it's simply to get through the day being kind to yourself and others. Whatever that intention is, you can set it, maybe write it down. And then option to begin your day with a loving kindness or metta meditation. And this is something we've done on a previous video, so I won't lead you through it today, but I have it here for you. If you need this as a reference, you could certainly write it down or print it out when you click on the PDF. But you start with yourself. Then you go to a person you love or are close to. Then you go bring your awareness to a person who's neutral, somebody that you just run into throughout the day, don't have any strong feelings on either way. And then option 2, extend your awareness to someone you find challenging or difficult, and wish them that they be happy, safe, healthy, and live with ease. You could also send this loving kindness meditation to your household, to your community, to your school, to your state, to your country, to all beings on the planet. Expand your heart as wide and as large as you want in this loving kindness meditation. And we know from the time that we spent doing this a couple weeks ago, research tells us that people who actively engage in a loving kindness meditation like this or something similar show more compassion throughout the day, show more kindness towards others and also to themselves, which is really important. When you settle down at night, you could do something similar. And again, this should only take about 5 minutes. It could certainly take longer if you wanted it to, but go ahead, find your tall, comfortable seat or a lying down posture, breathe mindfully, notice a couple physical feelings, and then 2 thoughts or emotions that are rising up for you. And then shifting a little bit, maybe you want to reflect on the day, identifying one win, identifying one thing you're grateful for, and then just one neutral observation about your day. So it could look like one win was I was fully present with my daughter and spent time reading books to her after school. One gratitude, I'm thankful for hot coffee in the morning and time with my pets. One neutral observation might be, it was sunny today. It'll look different every single day. And then if you like, option to journal your thoughts and just write them down. Okay, so now we're getting into the fun part, coming up with your personalized self-care plan. And at the time that I'm recording this and offering it live, we're getting ready to go into the holiday season. It's mid-December. We're entering a time that can be really fast-paced and harried and stressful and fun and exciting and sad and all the things. Everything seems to be heightened during the holiday season. But again, you could come up with a personalized self-care plan for the entire year, the upcoming year, for the week of finals, for the week of your wedding. Really, you could do this anytime you like, and you can make as many different plans as you like. So for a self-care and mindfulness plan, I have, with the help of Monica Jackson, who posts on Instagram a lot and is really thoughtful, she has her own wellness company, come up with 4 different areas of self-care. You might come up with more, and that is awesome. Maybe you have some that I didn't put here that really speak to you. But let's go through this just in order, starting in the upper left-hand corner, physical self-care. This is kind of the foundation, right? If your physical body is not being cared for, it can be really hard to move on to the other areas. But for all of these areas, we're going to apply mindful focus and awareness. So thinking about your physical self-care, these could be things like sleeping, stretching, walking, healthy food, yoga, other types of rest, other types of working out. It could be taking long bubble baths and then doing lotion. It could be, a lot of us like face masks, getting your hair cut, whatever takes care of your physical body. Maybe getting a massage. That's one of my favorites. Sitting in a hot tub or a sauna, whatever you love and whatever you feel like nourishes your physical self, that's what you would put in this area. And what I recommend doing is just listing all the things that you love to do that take care of your physical self, that make you feel healthier and well physically. The next area is emotional care. This is kind of the second rung, right? Now your body's taken care of. Let's take care of your emotions and your feelings. This can be things like anything you do for stress management. It can be showing compassion towards yourself and others. It can be forgiving yourself or another person for something that's just really weighing on your heart, weighing on your mind. It can be showing kindness, maybe random acts of kindness for strangers, maybe kindness towards the people that live in your household or that you come in contact with every day. Time with loved pets can be emotional self-care. Time with a best friend. It could also fit into social, but it can be emotional self-care. Counseling right? Working with a therapist or a counselor or maybe a spiritual leader, a church person, if you're a religious person. There's lots of different ways to take care of your feelings and your emotions, but spend some time journaling around this area as well. Maybe listing out, what do you feel like takes care of your emotions, and see if you can put yourself into that place where maybe you're really, really happy and excited. What would your self-care look like then? Versus when you're sad, lonely, feeling a little bit depressed or anxious, what would your emotional self-care look like then? Traveling down to the social block here. Social self-care can look lots of different ways. Of course, every area of self-care that we're talking about is going to look different for every single individual human on the planet. Social self-care for some could be creating healthy boundaries. Learning how to say no sometimes can be social self-care for a lot of us. It can be purposefully cultivating your support systems. Who do you have in place that you can turn to when you need them? Parents, friends, teachers, church friends, your lacrosse team, your running buddies. Who do you have in your nearby support system that keeps you socially well? Social self-care can also look like cultivating and curating your social media presence to be positive, and making sure that your social media feeds are mostly positive also. So that can mean returning back to that boundaries thing. Maybe there's some folks you want to ignore on your social media feeds, or block altogether or unfriend if they're not serving this purpose of social self-care and wellness. Social self-care can also look like touching up your communication skills, working on mindfully communicating with yourself and others. It can look like quality time with the people that you care about most, the folks that when you're done hanging out, you feel nourished, you feel inspired, you feel connected and taken care of. Those are the folks you want to have quality time with. If you have folks that you spend time with them and you feel depleted, you feel sad, you feel bad about yourself, you feel bad about your life choices, you feel super, super competitive with them and you don't know why, that might be a calling to you to think about some boundaries, to think about refocusing your support system and reaching out to some other people to spend time with. And then the last little spot on our grid here is spiritual. So this is thinking about your highest self, your spiritual self-care. And we all need some form of this, and it can look lots of different ways. It could be seeking solitude and quiet. It can be meditation. It can be prayer, journaling, spending time in a space that feels sacred to you, spending time in nature. Music can be a form of spiritual self-care. Singing, art can also be a spiritual self-care. There's lots of different ways this could look. And for some of us, this might be the area that we need the most brainstorming time on. Maybe we haven't ever really thought about what it means to take care of our spirit, or our soul, if you want to call it that, or if you just want to think of it as your highest self, that piece of yourself that connects to everything else in the universe. So here's how I recommend doing this. Make a list of choices for yourself. Brainstorm your physical, emotional, social, and spiritual self-care ideas, and then start to lay it out almost like a menu. So if your body's feeling physically unwell, here are your self-care ideas, and you can turn to that. Emotional, when you're down in the dumps, when you're going through a rough time, when you're going through difficult challenges in life and your emotions are running high, have a list of choices available that speak to you. Same with social and spiritual. If you can take time to write this down and maybe even make yourself a pretty little poster and hang it by your workspace, or just keep it in your journal, or type it up on a Google Doc in your Google Drive, put it into a text file on your phone. Bonus points if you send your self-care plan to somebody else. That would be fantastic. I'm sorry, my dog is barking, you guys. All right. So hopefully now, sorry about the dog, you guys. Hopefully now we have a good mindful self-care plan. And you are welcome to pause the video as we go through, watch it as many times as you want, come up with your own ideas for how you can take care of yourself over the holiday break or any other time in your life. Here are some other ideas and resources. I wanted to include this because there's a lot of stuff out there about mindfulness and about mindful self-care. Not everything is going to speak to everyone. There are some free live practice sessions during COVID at the UC San Diego School of Medicine, and I put a link there. It's the San Diego Center for Mindfulness, sorry. And they're offering live meditations for free. You can sign up for them at that link. You can take a look. I recommend yoga as a form of mindfulness. Absolutely. You can take lots of different yoga classes online or in person. I teach weekly at Seek Yoga Studio in Laramie, and everything's offered online there. You can sign up from anywhere. There are Zen coloring books out there. Coloring and art can be a beautiful mindfulness practice. There are mindfulness journals and planners, but honestly, any notebook could work for you. There are lots of websites that have mindfulness information. There's some meditation apps that are out there. I have not tried all of these. I use Insight Timer, so I indicated that's my favorite. I'm certainly not getting any kickbacks from them or sponsored by them in any way. It just happens to be the one I love. There's also Calm, Headspace. There's one called 10% Happier, which is mindfulness for skeptics. There's also some great movies and books that talk about mindfulness. Room to Breathe, 2013, Inside Out. It's a kids movie, it's Pixar, but you guys, it's talking about mindfulness and mindful self-care. Walk With Me is a beautiful film about the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh. It came out in 2017, and people laugh, but The Matrix came out back in the day, 1999, Keanu Reeves. This is all about mindfulness. It really is. And after spending time with me, if you watch that movie, I'd love to hear your thoughts if you agree with me. And then there are some books listed here that you could check out if you are a book nerd type and you would like to do some reading over the break. So that's going to conclude our time together today. We'll meet one more time. We'll have one more video coming out. The live meeting will be on Wednesday. And I'm going to guide you through a mindful guided visualization meditation for relaxation and for centering yourself. So we'll look forward to that. In the meantime, please take care of yourself and others, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.